The series begins with a high school girl named G, who stands in front of her new school. As soon as she enters, she notices that all the students there seem wealthy. She is excited about her new school because it looks grand and luxurious. She tells herself that this is a fresh start for her, and she is determined not to cause any trouble. We soon learn that G transferred from her previous school because she was a troublemaker who frequently got into conflicts. She walks around the school until she reaches the receptionist and asks for the location of Section A, the class she is assigned to. While waiting, she notices a female student looking at her with disgust. This makes her wonder why, but she decides not to dwell on it. Following the receptionist's directions, G arrives at the designated location and is shocked to find an old, run-down building, completely different from the other elegant school buildings. However, she convinces herself that appearances don't matter as long as the inside is decent. But as soon as she steps in, she is taken aback by how dirty and disorganized the place is. She continues walking until she comes across a group of male students. She asks if this is Section A, and one of them, named Kiefer, responds by telling her she is in the wrong place. G insists that the receptionist directed her there, but Kiefer rudely tells her to leave immediately. Frustrated by his attitude, she walks away, thinking to herself how much she wanted to shove the lollipop she was holding down his throat. However, she calms herself and heads toward another building, which looks clean and well-maintained. She enters a classroom and takes a seat at a desk. Soon after, a girl named Rocky, the class president, approaches her and introduces herself. G does the same, mentioning that she is new to the school, but when Rocky checks G's paperwork, she realizes that G is not registered in this class, but rather in another classroom in Section A. She then gives G the correct directions. At that moment, G realizes that Kiefer tricked her. Feeling irritated, she heads back to Section A. However, once there, she discovers that the section has only one classroom, which consists entirely of male students. Still, she doesn't let it bother her. She introduces herself to the teacher and the class. Kiefer, as the class leader, is supposed to welcome her, but instead, he mocks her, making the other students laugh at her. G doesn't stay silent. She fires back, making fun of him as well. From that moment, G starts experiencing harassment from her classmates. Every time she tries to sit at a desk, the students stop her. When she finally manages to sit somewhere, they start throwing paper balls at her while laughing. She yells at them to stop, but they ignore her. The bullying continues until the lesson ends, and G leaves the classroom annoyed. She heads to the school cafeteria, where she meets Rocky, who is sitting with a group of girls. Rocky asks her how things went in Section A, but G hides the truth and tells her that everyone welcomed her warmly. The girls don't seem to believe her, as they know that all the students in Section A are troublemakers. At that moment, a student named Iris speaks up, saying that Section A is a perfect place for G. It becomes clear that G and Iris know each other, but G stays silent, not responding to him. Instead, she leaves the cafeteria and returns to Section A. Once back, she looks for a clean spot to eat, but as soon as she finds a suitable place and takes out her food, the other students take it from her. One of them, named Felix, approaches her and apologizes for what his classmates did. He warns her not to bring out food in front of them again because none of the students in Section A are allowed to enter the cafeteria or buy food from it. G is surprised by this, so she pulls out more food from her bag. Felix quickly snatches it from her and reminds her of his warning before walking away. Later, while G is in the classroom, a female teacher enters but refuses to start the lesson because the class is filthy. She tells them that if she finds the classroom in the same condition during the next lesson, she won't teach them for the rest of the year. Then, she leaves. G, feeling determined, tries to encourage her classmates to clean the classroom. But to her shock, they all walk out and lock the door behind her, leaving her alone to clean the mess. She yells at them to help her, but they ignore her, laughing at her from the classroom window. With no other choice, G cleans the classroom by herself, fuming with frustration. At the end of her first day, she returns home, where we learn that she lives with her uncle's wife. When her aunt asks her about her first day at the new school, G hides everything that happened and tells her it was a great day. Her aunt then reminds her of the promise she made, and G reassures her that she hasn't forgotten. She will not cause trouble with anyone. The next day at school, G is surprised when Kiefer hands her a piece of paper with a list of food items that he and the other students like, instructing her to buy them from the cafeteria. G refuses, telling him that she is not their servant. Kiefer responds by saying that he doesn't like having her in the class, and if she wants to stay, she must obey his orders. G gets angry and firmly tells Kiefer that she won't do what he asked. She also bluntly tells him that from the first moment she saw him, she wanted to punch him. Of course, Kiefer doesn't like her attitude and is about to start a fight with her, but their teacher enters the classroom, interrupting them. During lunchtime, a student named Yuri arrives, and all the boys rush toward him because he has brought plenty of food for them. However, when Yuri notices G, he becomes visibly upset. Felix informs him that G is a new student in their class. Yuri glares at G with anger before walking away without saying a word, leaving G confused by his reaction. She asks Felix about him, and he explains that Yuri had been on vacation in Japan visiting his family and had just returned. He also tells her that Yuri and Kiefer are close friends. Meanwhile, Yuri goes to speak with Kiefer about G, making it clear that he doesn't like having a girl in their section. Kiefer explains that he had already tried to intimidate her into leaving, but she wasn't scared and stood her ground. Yuri then suggests that they keep harassing her until she gets fed up and leaves. Kiefer agrees. The next morning, G has breakfast before heading to school. On her way, she runs into Angelo, her older cousin, who asks her how things are going at school. She reassures him that she's fine and then asks if he knows anything about Section A, since he was once a student at the same school. Angelo explains that Section A was created specifically for troublemakers and that once a student is transferred there, they remain in that section until they graduate. However, he also tells her that female students in Section A have a chance to transfer out if they maintain good behavior, avoid causing trouble, and achieve high grades in their subjects. After hearing this, G continues her way to school when she comes across a boy fighting 4 other boys and easily defeating them all. As soon as he sees G, he calls out to her, introducing himself as her classmate and asking if they can go to school together. G agrees, and on the way she learns that his name is Sai. Curious, she asks him why students from their section aren't allowed to enter the cafeteria. C agrees to tell her, but on one condition: she must buy him food. G agrees. C then tells her that there used to be a girl named Ella in their section, and she and Kiefer were deeply in love. However, she eventually transferred to another section because she had strong connections with the school administration. After her transfer, Kiefer felt like she had changed toward him for no apparent reason. One day, he saw her in the cafeteria kissing another boy. Furious, Kiefer got into a fight with the boy and ended up destroying the entire cafeteria. Since then, the school administration has punished Kiefer and all the students in Section A by banning them from the cafeteria completely. After their conversation, C and G arrive at school and go about their day as usual. However, at the end of the last period, G is shocked to find that her clothes have been glued to her desk. It turns out that Kiefer and Yuri were behind this prank. The entire class laughs at G before leaving her behind. G calls out to C and Felix, reminding them that she always brings them food and that they can't just abandon her in this situation. Feeling guilty, Felix and C help pull her from the desk, but in the process, her clothes tear. C immediately gives her his jacket to cover herself. Furious, G storms off, searching for Kiefer until she finally finds him standing with Yuri and a group of other boys. She throws C's jacket in Kiefer's face, and in front of everyone, tells him that from this moment on, she won't stay silent about anything he does to her. Then, she walks away. Later, on her way home, G is accompanied by C, who gives her another jacket he had in his bag to cover her torn clothes. She thanks him and says goodbye before entering her house. Meanwhile, as C heads home, he encounters a group of boys, the same ones he fought earlier, who have returned to take revenge on him. At home, G sits down for dinner, where Iris is also present. It is revealed that Iris is actually G's younger cousin, but he clearly resents her presence in their household. Angelo notices this and gets upset when he realizes that Iris isn't giving G a ride to school in his car. He then tells him that starting the next day, he must take G to school and ensure that she is safe from any harm. The following morning, Iris follows Angelo's orders and drives G to school. When G arrives at her classroom, Kiefer once again hands her the same paper with a list of food items, along with money, expecting her to buy food for him and his friends. G snaps at him, telling him that she isn't obligated to do anything for him. She makes it clear that she is only getting the food for her friends, not for him. G goes to the cafeteria and buys all the food Kiefer had requested. When she returns, everyone is thrilled by what she has done, even Kiefer himself. Felix then calls G over to eat with them, making her incredibly happy. She agrees and joins them. However, Yuri is displeased by the situation and leaves angrily. Later, while they are in the classroom, their teacher calls out students' names to assess their academic levels. None of the boys answer her questions, showing their lack of interest in studies. But then, the teacher calls G's full name, revealing that her family name is the same as Iris's. Kiefer immediately asks G about her relationship with Iris, and she casually responds that he is her cousin. At that moment, G notices a change in the atmosphere. Everyone in the class appears angry. It becomes evident that there is some kind of history or conflict between her classmates and Iris, but she has no idea what it is. After class, G tries to talk to any of her male classmates, but they all avoid her completely and refuse to speak with her. Meanwhile, Kiefer and Yuri gather their classmates and start searching for information about G on the internet. They discover the name of her previous school and find out that she was an extreme troublemaker. They also learn that she once stabbed a male classmate with a pencil and was responsible for causing serious injuries to several students. At that moment, one of their classmates walks in, claiming to have information about G's family. He tells them that G's father has been missing for a long time and no one knows his whereabouts. He also reveals that her mother abandoned her when she was a child, remarried another man, and started a new life with him. G had been living with her grandmother all these years, but after transferring to their school, she moved in with her uncle's family. Yuri and Kiefer begin to suspect that Iris purposely placed G in their section to spy on them and report back to him. When it's time to clean the classroom, the boys, as usual, leave G to do all the work by herself. Kiefer tries to annoy her by overturning the trash bins and spilling garbage all over the floor. Frustrated, G retaliates by dumping stacks of paper onto the ground and refuses to clean up unless he helps her. Noticing that the situation is escalating and knowing that Kiefer has a short temper and might hit G, Yuri steps in. He convinces Kiefer to clean the classroom with her to avoid any problems. Kiefer calms down, listens to Yuri, and helps clean up the classroom alongside G. The next day, G is in the car with Iris on the way to school when she suddenly sees C walking down the street. She asks Iris to stop the car, telling him that she wants to go to school with her classmate. As she walks with Sai, she asks him why he was absent from school. C explains that he got into another fight with the friends of the boys he had beaten up before. However, this time, the fight was much more serious, and he suffered a severe injury. Because of that, he decided to stay home and rest until he recovered. G then tells him about what happened in class and how the boys reacted when they found out that she was Iris's cousin. She asks him if he plans to avoid her like they did. C reassures her that he won't, and that she doesn't have to worry about that. They continue their way to school together, and later in the day, C takes G behind one of the buildings to witness the class president elections. However, G is shocked to discover that there is no actual election. Instead, the selection process is a physical fight between the current class president, Kiefer, and another student named David, who has challenged him for the position. The winner of the fight will be the new class president. The match begins, and Kiefer and David engage in a brutal battle, fiercely attacking each other. The fight is intense and violent, but in the end, Kiefer emerges victorious. The students cheer for him, lift him onto their shoulders, and carry him away in celebration. G refuses to leave the scene. Instead, she approaches David and helps him get home. The next day in class, G brings food for C and David. Meanwhile, Yuri and Kiefer watch her, displeased by what's happening. It becomes clear that G is getting along well with all the boys in the class, and they are starting to treat her well in return. This worries Kiefer and Yuri because they don't want her to feel comfortable in their section. Just then, one of their classmates informs them that the next period is PE and that they need to get ready to go to the gym. At the same time, Iris is sitting with his friend, who informs him that the students of Section A will be heading to the gym for their next class. While they are talking, Ella walks in and greets Iris. It's obvious that the two of them are in a romantic relationship. Iris then decides to go to the gym, using the excuse that he wants to check on his cousin, G, to make sure none of the boys in her class are bothering her. However, when he arrives, he deliberately gets too close to Ella, making it obvious that he's doing it on purpose to provoke and anger Kiefer. His plan works. Kiefer reaches his breaking point, furious at the scene in front of him. Determined to punish Iris, he decides to take it out on G instead. Pretending to be teaching her how to catch a ball, Kiefer launches the ball at her with excessive force. It hits her directly in the face, knocking her to the ground and causing her nose to bleed. Everyone in the gym is stunned by what happened. At that moment, Kiefer realizes his mistake and wants to go to G and apologize. However, he hesitates when he sees that Iris has already rushed to her side to check on her. Later, we see G at home, lying in bed. She has taken 2 days off from school to recover from her injury. Her uncle's wife enters her room, bringing her breakfast. G tells her that she wants to leave the school because she can't handle what's happening to her. She admits that she doesn't know how to deal with the students who harass her, especially since she promised not to cause any trouble. Her aunt tells her that she doesn't have to put up with the bullying in silence. She can stand up for herself without overreacting. Later, G goes out to buy some medicine, but suddenly, a group of her classmates appears in front of her. They try to grab her and force her to go with them, but G breaks free and unexpectedly finds herself in Kiefer's arms. He had been standing behind her the whole time. Kiefer tells her that her classmates were only trying to bring her to him. They sit together at a cafe, and G asks him what he wants from her. Instead of answering, Kiefer takes out a bandage and carefully places it over her injury. After that, he orders her some ice cream. G asks him if this is his way of bribing her into forgetting what he did to her. Kiefer responds by admitting that he isn't good at apologizing, but he knows that all girls love ice cream. However, G refuses to accept his gesture and walks away. But after a few steps, she turns back, grabs the ice cream, and continues on her way. The next day, G is at school and enters the bathroom. Shortly after, a group of girls follows her inside. They start talking about what happened in the gym, and one of them, named Freya, speaks badly about Ella. She calls her an untrustworthy girl, mentioning that she used to be with Kiefer, but then left him to date Iris instead. As they continue talking, Freya notices that their classmate, Mika, is unusually silent and not engaging in the conversation. When Freya asks her why she's so quiet, Mika responds by saying that she thinks Ella is actually a good person and not as bad as Freya claims. Freya doesn't like Mika's response at all, but she quickly shifts the topic to G. She questions why the boys are paying attention to her, saying that she sees no reason for it, especially since G isn't even pretty. G, who had been listening to the entire conversation, gets furious when she hears Freya insulting her. She storms out of the bathroom, stands in front of Freya without saying a word, and splashes water on her. Then, G runs out, heading toward Section A. Freya and her friends immediately chase after her and catch up with her in front of Section A. At that moment, all the boys from Section A step outside to see what's happening. Additionally, Freya's male friends arrive at the scene, as well as Ella and Iris, who stand at a distance, watching the situation unfold. Freya, still humiliated, declares that G was bold enough to splash water on her and must be punished for it. However, Iris intervenes, telling Freya that G is his cousin. G, feeling victorious, stands confidently in front of Freya, assuming that Iris will defend her. But to her shock, Iris continues speaking and says that he won't defend G if she was in the wrong. Freya, now feeling smug, begins explaining the student hierarchy at their school to G. She tells her that the school is divided into 5 categories. The first category is Category A, which includes Freya, Ella, and the other elite girls standing before G. She also reveals that Iris is the leader of this category. Freya explains that Category A students are considered the best in the school, treated like kings and queens by the other students. The second category, Category B, consists of students slightly below them, who serve them in minor ways. The third category, Category C, is made up of students who are friendly and agreeable to everyone. Freya points out that Rocky, the girl who welcomed G when she accidentally entered the wrong class, is part of this group. Then, Freya moves on to Category D, which is made up entirely of boys. These boys act as enforcers for Category A students, ensuring that anyone who disrespects them is punished. Finally, Freya mentions Category E, which G already belongs to, reminding her that Category E students are the lowest-ranked students in the entire school, and no one cares about them. After finishing her explanation, Freya offers G a way out of punishment. She will forgive G only if she kneels and kisses her shoe. G, of course, refuses. Instead, she boldly tells everyone that she had been in the bathroom and overheard Freya talking badly about Ella. She also reveals that Freya insulted Ella behind her back and called her a disgrace. Freya panics because she knows that Iris will punish her for speaking badly about Ella. Desperate, she lies and denies ever saying anything bad about her. She then manipulates the situation by accusing Mika of being the one who spoke ill of Ella. The other girls who were with Freya support her lie, backing up her claim against Mika. Mika, horrified, tries to defend herself and insists to Iris that she never said anything against Ella. However, Iris ignores Mika's plea and orders the boys from Category D to punish her. The boys grab Mika and prepare to beat her in front of everyone. At that moment, a boy from Category E named Alex steps in. He attacks the Category D boys and successfully fends them off to protect Mika. It is revealed that Alex is Mika's ex-boyfriend. Now, the tension escalates. Iris and Kiefer stand face to face, with Iris determined to ensure Mika is punished while Kiefer opposes it. The situation explodes into a full-blown fight when Iris attacks Kiefer, hitting him violently. A massive brawl breaks out among all the students. Later, Yuri and Kiefer sit together, discussing what happened. Yuri points out that all their attempts to drive G out of the class have failed. He notes that instead, her classmates have started sympathizing with her and accepting her into their group. Kiefer smirks and tells Yuri that he has a new plan, one that will kill two birds with one stone. He explains that he will make G fall for him, get her emotionally attached, and then cut her off completely, breaking her heart. This way, not only will he get rid of G, but he will also make Iris furious for what happened to his cousin. Yuri loves the plan and agrees to go along with it. Meanwhile, C runs up to Kiefer in a panic, telling him that G is in a fight with Category D boys in the gym. Kiefer rushes to the scene and arrives just in time to see G lying on the ground while one of the boys is about to strike her. Without hesitation, Kiefer grabs the boy and beats him up. Then, Kiefer and G stand side by side, facing off against the three remaining boys. They engage in a fierce battle, but manage to overpower their opponents. After the fight ends, both G and Kiefer collapse onto the ground from exhaustion. G thanks Kiefer for saving her. At that moment, C and Yuri enter the gym. Yuri approaches G and picks her up to take her to the infirmary. However, before doing so, he warns her that the school is going to investigate the fight. He then asks her to avoid mentioning Kiefer's involvement because if Kiefer gets into another major incident, he might be permanently expelled from the school. G agrees and promises to keep his name out of it. The next day, heavy rain pours down, causing the school administration to dismiss students early. G calls Iris, asking him to pick her up, but when she leaves the school building and waits for him outside in the rain, he never shows up. As she stands there, Yuri spots her and offers her a ride home. G, having no other choice, gets into Yuri's car, and he drives her home. Noticing that G is cold, Yuri hands her his jacket so she can warm up. Soon after, G is surprised to find that Yuri is taking her to his house. He explains that the roads to her home are completely flooded, making it impossible to get there. He offers to let her stay at his place until the weather improves, and G reluctantly agrees. G is amazed by the grandeur of Yuri's house. It is incredibly luxurious. Yuri leads her to a room and tells her to change out of her wet clothes. He lets her know that she can borrow any of his clothes until the maid washes and dries hers. He then steps out, giving her privacy to change. A little while later, Yuri returns, and the two sit and chat. G asks him about his family, and he tells her that his parents live in Japan, where they manage their business. He reveals that he lives in this massive house with only his grandfather. Later, Yuri takes G to have lunch with his grandfather, who is surprised because this is the first time Yuri has ever brought a female friend home. As they talk, G impresses Yuri's grandfather with her kindness and polite demeanor. The next day at school, G thanks Yuri and jokes around with him as they walk to class. Kiefer is shocked when he sees Yuri laughing and playfully interacting with G. Curious, he pulls Yuri aside and asks him what happened the previous night. Yuri explains everything, and when he notices Kiefer getting irritated, he reassures him that this changes nothing about their plan. Everything will still go exactly as they planned. Soon after, Kiefer and G are summoned to the principal's office. When they arrive, the boys from Category D are there, claiming that Kiefer and G attacked them for no reason. G immediately tries to defend herself and Kiefer, but she notices that the principal doesn't believe her. This is because of Kiefer's long history of causing trouble. G is shocked when the principal places full blame on Kiefer for the incident. At that moment, G remembers what Yuri told her, that if Kiefer got involved in another serious problem, he might be expelled from school. Determined to protect him, G steps forward and tells the principal that she was the one responsible for everything. The principal, however, sees through her attempt to defend Kiefer and warns her that she herself could be expelled for taking the blame. G is stunned, but still insists that Kiefer had nothing to do with it. In response, the principal says she will call G's guardian. After they leave the office, Kiefer thanks G for what she did. A while later, Angelo arrives and takes G aside to speak with her privately. He yells at her for getting involved in trouble and reminds her that she promised not to cause any problems. G apologizes and promises not to make any more trouble. That night, Kiefer is at Yuri's house, along with their other male classmates. Kiefer discusses his plan with them, explaining how he will make G fall for him, only to break her heart and force her to leave the class. Yuri, however, seems unhappy about this plan, but he says nothing. The next day at school, G hears a noise coming from behind a garbage bin. When she approaches, she is surprised to find Mika hiding behind it. Mika is terrified because Iris has ordered the boys from Category D to chase her down and punish her, believing that she was the one who spoke badly about Ella. Fearing for her safety, she has been running away and hiding. G sympathizes with her and asks if any of her classmates tried to help her. Mika says that the only one who could have helped was Ella, but unfortunately she is absent today. G takes Mika to the bathroom, helps her clean up, and then decides to take her to Section A, hoping to protect her from the boys chasing her. However, when they arrive, Kiefer is visibly annoyed by Mika's presence and wants to throw her out of the classroom. G yells at him, saying that Mika needs help and reminds him that he once helped her before. Kiefer seizes this opportunity to start his plan and, with obvious romantic intent, tells G that he is willing to do anything for her. Yuri, watching from a distance, is unable to hide his jealousy. G, on the other hand, becomes flustered and doesn't know how to respond. At the end of the day, G walks with Mika to ensure that no one attacks her on her way home. As they walk, G asks Mika about her history with Alex. Mika sits with her and explains that she and Alex used to love each other. One day, Ella came to her and told her that she had seen Alex standing with another girl. Mika was shocked, but refused to believe it. However, later, she saw Alex getting close to another girl at the cafeteria, confirming Ella's words. From that moment on, she cut ties with Alex completely. Mika tells G that since then, Alex has been trying to apologize and make amends, hoping to get back together with her, but she has refused to give him another chance. She then asks G if Alex deserves a second chance. G looks at Alex, noticing the regret on his face, and tells Mika to think carefully before making her decision. G then walks Mika home. Later that night, G confronts Iris about how he treated Mika, telling him that what he did was wrong. She insists that Mika never said anything bad about Ella. As they talk, Ella walks in and is visibly upset after learning what Iris did to Mika. Iris follows her, trying to make amends. The next day, Ella approaches G and thanks her for standing up for Mika. She tells G that she spoke with Iris and made him promise to leave Mika alone. However, Ella also asks G to keep Alex away from Mika because she is afraid that Alex might hurt Mika again. G refuses, saying that she has no right to interfere in Mika and Alex's relationship. It is up to them to decide their own future. After a while, G is surprised when a student from Section A presents Mika with flowers in front of their classmates and confesses his feelings for her, saying he has liked her for a long time but never had the courage to express it. G tells Mika to think carefully before responding, but Ella interrupts G, telling her to stay out of it. At that moment, Alex steps forward and, in front of everyone, tells Mika that he regrets everything he did to her and asks for a chance to talk to her privately. Meanwhile, Kiefer and Yuri are both focused on G, watching her closely because she seems deeply moved by the romantic scene unfolding before her. Mika responds to Alex, telling him that she is willing to give him another chance. The students in Section A celebrate happily. Later, G and Kiefer watch Mika and Alex from a distance as they meet. They see Alex screaming with joy because Mika has promised to consider getting back together with him. Kiefer takes advantage of the moment and tells G that he wishes he could experience a romantic moment like that with her. G gets flustered and doesn't know how to respond, so she leaves. G goes to the bathroom and notices that someone has written a lot of things on the door. An idea suddenly comes to her, and she immediately puts her plan into action. She goes to C and David and tells them that she placed her phone in the girls' bathroom, showing them a video she recorded. The footage captures Freya insulting Ella, giving G solid evidence against her. Later that day, when G returns home, she shows the video to Iris and demands that he punish Freya for what she did. However, G is shocked when Iris refuses, telling her that he knows she is just trying to use him to take revenge on Freya, and he won't allow that. He then walks away, leaving G feeling frustrated because her plan has failed. The next morning, G rides her bicycle to school when a boy in a car stops her to ask for directions. She gives him directions, and he thanks her before driving off. Just then, Yuri arrives and asks her about the boy. G tells him that he was just lost and needed help finding his way. They both continue on to school. At school, Mika approaches G and thanks her for helping her make the right decision. She hands G a letter and asks her to deliver it to Alex. G quickly takes the letter to him, and Alex sits among his classmates, opening it nervously while everyone watches, waiting to find out Mika's answer. Suddenly, Alex yells in excitement, announcing that Mika has agreed to get back together with him. Overjoyed, he hugs G and thanks her for being the reason this happened. G tells him not to waste any time and to go to Mika immediately. Kiefer and Yuri watch the scene, feeling pleased with everything happening around them. During PE class, the students from Section A are in the gym alongside students from Section E. While training, G is the fastest among her classmates, outrunning them all. However, Kiefer trips her, causing her to fall so that he can win. G retaliates by tripping Kiefer the same way he did to her. Everyone is shocked because they all know Kiefer has a quick temper and could seriously hurt G. But what happens next surprises them all. Instead of getting angry, Kiefer playfully chases G, threatening to punish her for what she did. G runs as fast as she can, but Kiefer manages to catch her. As she struggles to escape his grasp, he accidentally kisses her. Everyone freezes in shock at what just happened. Iris immediately steps in, claiming he is protecting G from Kiefer. However, Kiefer stops him, saying that it was just a joke and that G didn't mind. Iris, however, grabs G's wrist and tries to pull her away from Kiefer. Kiefer then grabs her other wrist, refusing to let go, and the two of them start pulling her back and forth until Kiefer forcefully pulls G toward him and kisses her in front of everyone. Later, Kiefer is seen sitting in the classroom with his classmates, holding an ice pack over his face. It is revealed that G punched him after he kissed her. The next day at school, G sees a couple standing together, getting close to each other. She suddenly spaces out, recalling what happened with Kiefer the day before. She can't wrap her head around the idea that Kiefer might actually have feelings for her. Snapping back to reality, she starts hitting herself lightly on the head, trying to shake the thoughts away. C notices her and asks if she's okay. G tells him that she's fine, but as she talks, she suddenly feels weak, so she leaves and goes to the bathroom to wash her face. Inside the bathroom, Rocky enters and immediately notices that G looks feverish. She asks if G has gone to the infirmary or taken any medicine. G tells her that she doesn't need any medicine and that she will be fine. She also mentions that she can't go to the infirmary because she has an important exam today. Rocky then tells G that she has wanted to talk to her for a while, especially since the fight with Freya. G says she is still upset about what happened. Rocky warns G that Freya won't leave her alone and will try to take revenge in any way she can. She explains that Freya did the same thing to her in the past. She caused a lot of trouble for C, leading to his transfer to Section E. She also reveals that Iris knew Freya was in the wrong, but couldn't punish her because he was secretly in a relationship with her behind Ella's back. G is shocked to hear this. Rocky confirms that she saw them getting close at a party, and she explains that Freya always threatens Iris with exposing their relationship to Ella. Because of this, Freya does whatever she wants at school without facing any consequences. G then asks Rocky about her past with Sai. Rocky tells her that she and C used to love each other, but when Freya found out, she became jealous because she also liked C. From then on, Freya constantly fought with Rocky and caused her problems. When C intervened to defend Rocky, Freya framed him for theft, ruining his reputation and making the school administration transfer him to Section E. G returns to her classroom feeling upset about everything she has learned. Meanwhile, her condition worsens, and she becomes too weak to keep her head up. She sits between Yuri and Kiefer, struggling to stay awake. When the teacher arrives and hands out the exam papers, G is completely exhausted and unable to focus. Eventually, she falls asleep at her desk. After some time, her classmates wake her up. The moment she opens her eyes, she panics, realizing that she has slept through the exam and hasn't answered a single question. She becomes terrified that she will fail and embarrass herself in front of her family. The next day, G stands in front of the bulletin board where the exam results are posted. She is completely stunned when she sees that she has received a high score. Unable to believe it, she wonders if she is still hallucinating from her illness. She looks at Kiefer and finds him smirking at her. That's when she realizes that he saw her struggling during the exam and secretly filled out her test for her. G is even more surprised when she looks back at the exam results and sees that Kiefer and Yuri both scored extremely high. She can't understand why such intelligent students would still be in Section E. The next day, G enters the classroom and finds C sitting alone. He tells her that he's hungry and wants food. He then takes out flour and an egg from his locker and asks G to make him pancakes. G tells him she needs kitchen tools, but C surprises her by revealing that there are cooking utensils stored in the classroom. G takes them out and starts making pancakes. Her classmates gather around her, excited and happy about what she's doing. Yuri and Kiefer arrive and are surprised to see G cooking. Kiefer tells her that whoever becomes her boyfriend will be very lucky and says that he wishes it could be him. G is flattered by his words and gets so caught up in the moment that she forgets about the pancake on the stove and it burns. She yells at Kiefer, blaming him for distracting her. Kiefer leaves the classroom and Yuri steps in to help G with the pancakes. During the break, C is sitting alone with a handbag on his lap. When G sees him, she asks whose bag it is. C tells her that it belongs to a girl named Melda, who left it with him while she went to the bathroom. But when Melda returns, she gets angry at Sai for holding her bag. She then brings one of her male classmates over, points at Sai, and accuses him of stealing money from her bag. C denies it, but the boy doesn't believe him and starts a fight. G steps in to defend C, pushing the other boy away and telling Melda that she was the one who gave her bag to C for safekeeping. Melda, however, denies this and insists that C is lying. A crowd gathers around them. C keeps trying to defend himself, but no one believes him, especially the students from Section A, since C has a history of theft. Freya speaks up, but G immediately cuts her off, telling her that she's the last person who should be talking about this. G then exposes Freya, saying that she knows she has falsely accused C of stealing many times before. A student from Section A steps in and asks Melda how much money she lost. As soon as she states the amount, he pulls out the exact sum from his pocket and hands it to her. He then turns to C and congratulates him in front of everyone, sarcastically telling him that he doesn't need to steal since his family is rich. G loses her temper, furious at the injustice C is facing. She wants to fight the students from Section A, knowing that they framed C. However, Yuri grabs her and takes her back to the classroom. He tells her to confirm the truth with Sai before starting a fight. G stands in front of C and asks him if he really stole the money. C insists that he didn't and that he's being set up. G and her classmates believe him and sympathize with him. Meanwhile, at home, Iris is with Ella. He tells her that he knows she was the one who framed C and asks her why she did it. She explains that she is upset with G and wanted to hurt her by making her feel bad for C. She still resents G for influencing Mika to get back with Alex, which caused Mika to change and distance herself from Ella. Ella is also bothered by how all the boys in Section A treat G well, especially since she used to be close to them when she was still in Section A. Iris comforts her and tells her to forget about everyone else and focus on him. He promises to make up for anything she has lost. The next day, G speaks with Kiefer and asks him for money. She wants to settle the embarrassing situation Sai was put in. Kiefer warns her against it, but she insists, so he gives her the money she asked for. G then goes to the student who paid off Melda and throws the money in his face, telling him that C is not a thief. She then loudly declares in front of everyone that she was the one who stole the money from Melda's bag. Iris approaches G and tells her that he understands she's trying to protect Sai, but he never expected her to take the blame for him. Freya seizes the opportunity and records G's confession, posting the video online. When G returns to the classroom, she finds her classmates upset. She is shocked when they show her the video that Freya uploaded, in which G is seen admitting that she stole the money. C feels guilty that G got herself into trouble because of him, but G tells him that she doesn't mind as long as it clears his name. C approaches her and thanks her before hugging her. Yuri, Kiefer, and the rest of their classmates feel happy about G's actions. Kiefer then contacts his hacker friend Eddie and asks him to delete the video from all social media platforms. The next day, Angelo scolds G after seeing the video. G is surprised when she realizes that Angelo has Kiefer's number and is calling him to ask what happened. Kiefer reassures him that G did it to protect C's reputation and that the video has already been erased. Angelo calms down, but warns G not to do something like this again. Later, G's grandmother arrives with her uncle's wife, who doesn't like G. She tells the grandmother about the video that was posted online, but the grandmother refuses to believe it. Feeling frustrated, G says she needs some fresh air and goes out for a walk. She stops by a restaurant where she encounters the girls from Section A. The moment they see her, they call the waiter and tell him that G is a thief and that they are uncomfortable with her presence. The waiter approaches G and asks her to leave. Just then, Yuri enters the restaurant and sees what is happening. He immediately steps in and tells the waiter that he will pay for all of the restaurant's earnings that day and demands that the girls be kicked out instead. G is shocked by what's happening, especially when she learns that the restaurant is owned by Yuri's family. Because of this, the waiter is intimidated and obeys Yuri's command, throwing the girls out just as he said. Yuri then sits with G and treats her to lunch. G thanks him for what he did, feeling happy about the way things turned out. However, the moment is interrupted when Kiefer arrives in his car. His expression darkens when he sees G sitting with Yuri, laughing and having fun. And with that, the first season of the series comes to an end. Subscribe for more videos like this one and type in the comment if you want Season 2.